Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you are watching, wherever you're listening, we welcome you to another edition of the Big Biz Show, live from the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. And as we like to say around these here parts, a big old howdy to you. Oh, that's beautiful. That is the Day Trader Trio of Best in the Business back here at the bar. It's me, Costa, looking beautiful and handsome. Looking beautiful, it's Mary Godwin, and of course, Sully.
I thought this was the first time in your life that you wore a shirt that didn't say municipal on it, but yet I see there is still a shirt going on here without remuneration or compensation to the Big Biz Show or the networks. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great to have you along today. We're going to get to Howie in just a second. Okay, did it occur to you that we are now in the holiday season when last night I heard the Andy Williams Most Wonderful Time of the Year song in a commercial?
Yeah.
It's can we please at least take the pumpkins down?
I know. Wait till the pumpkins.
I mean, does anybody else have a problem with that?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter.
My daughter starts to listen to Christmas music in the summer. She loves it.
When did they? Okay, so the day after Thanksgiving used to signify the sales, and then they did the internet thing the Monday after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. This is all happening now the day after Valentine's Day. I mean, honestly. I mean, seriously. So I just sort of feel like, look, we're all complaining about screen time and how much time we're spending online, and the speed in which we absorb our news and how we consume our music and our entertainment. Well, then why don't we just stick to maybe just not rushing the fact that we still get to contribute to our adult onset diabetes this Friday for Halloween before we contribute to it because of all the stuffing we ate in Thanksgiving. Then let's start doing the Target sled commercials. And listen, I love this season.
Of course.
But it's October still.
It is. No, I'm with you.
Baseball's still on.
Exactly. Halloween candy on Friday, and then we'll put stuff away on Saturday and pull out like the Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll enjoy that up until Thanksgiving, and then that Friday we'll start getting the Christmas stuff ready.
Thanksgiving's really late this year, though.
Yeah.
And then
isn't it always the fourth or third Thursday?
Yes, but for some reason it's like way towards the end of the month. Usually you have a little bit more time, but now it's going to be.
It's always the third Thursday.
It is, but it's where the days.
Mansplain this to me.
I don't know the explanation
I thought it was the last Thursday in November.
It's not usually, but.
It is a Thursday in November.
Maybe
it's the last.
On where the days
you nailed that.
I'm going to hold Howie off until the B block, but because I have to talk to you about something very, very important to me, and that is, of course, baseball.
Holy
the late great Ozzie Smith. So, of course, the LA Dodgers, and usually my favorite team is anyone playing the Dodgers,
right?
Except for when it's the Blue Jays.
Yes,
because those Canadians shouldn't be in Major League Baseball.
Stick to Hokie.
But I go back to where my favorite player was Bill Lee, who was on the Montreal Expos.
Oh yeah,
I shouldn't really say
Spaceman.
The only reason I want the Dodgers is because it's Southern California, and they mop the floor with the Padres. So so at least it doesn't go for naught.
No.
I do love Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts.
We love Dave.
I happen to know Dave Roberts is a good guy.
We love Doc.
Such a good guy.
Such a good guy.
Great
He's
guy.
from down here.
He is from San Diego.
Yeah.
Well, he played for San Diego. He was a base coach for San Diego. He was assistant coach for San Diego before he went to Dodgers. But he's a really, really good guy. In fact,
never got an interview for a manager here in San Diego, but the Dodgers thought he was good enough.
Yeah. Also, they thought Max Scherzer was good enough, as well as Hideo, as well as. Did you? So how many? 18 innings last night?
18 innings.
That's 2 ball games.
Yeah, it got over
and
11.
Freddie Freeman, who has the most extra base walk-offs in the history of Major League Baseball in the last 5 years, does what? Hits
walk-off home run.
Walk-off home run.
Mr. October again.
In the bottom of the 18th.
Were they
2
in LA?
games.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
I will tell you. I know this is going to come to a shock, as my very close friend James East will tell you. I stayed up until 10, and it still wasn't over.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I was 10:30. I was and then I didn't know the final score until we woke up this morning. Amazing stuff. All right, this is also amazing. A lot more show to come your way. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this. California. That is the Day Trader Trio. Best in the business, no lessons. Self-taught. Back here at the Bars Costa, it is Marybert Godwin. And of course, it is Sully.
And of course, straight from New York City, in the throes of what is an oncoming winter after it was 95 degrees 2 days ago. Now it's probably below 40. Howie Font joins us as our
love this guy.
Howie, are you still feeling summertime like you did last week, or is it starting to feel like fall and winter finally there? Because it really seems to go.
No, what happened? This is the bipolar weather we're having here.
It is.
Couple things.
Yes, sir.
It's the second latest that a Thanksgiving can happen because last year was a leap year. So the 28th of November is the latest Thanksgiving can be. We're on the 27th. So yes, it's about as late as it can be. And then Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You just broke its 500K a day views for the earliest.
Well, those were the days because a little known band named Sullivan just dropped a song called Seasons, which is going to be in a Tyler Perry movie next week. So I think those days of Mariah are over. I think Mariah's days are over as a Christmas song because could you imagine if our
That's
song...
pretty early.
Could you imagine if our
half a million views a day?
I know.
Hey.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. Oh, I thought you were flipping, throwing me shade. What you're saying is in October,
not at all.
half a million views a day? Oh
yeah. So a metric for when the holiday season starts is when does All I Want for Christmas Is You get 500,000 a day, and this is the earliest. Obnoxious. I agree with you, pumpkin.
So if we go, so let's turn the page to another holiday tradition, and that's the government shutdown, which has happened over the last
worst form of vacation ever. Yeah,
12 years for the last quarter. Always had. So if we go 35 days, Howie, is that a record?
That's it. That's the big one that we have to beat.
So that we have to. Are we rooting for it?
We're going for it. We're at 27 days now.
So here's, and when I was doing Strictly Talk Radio, I would always, it was about this time of year, you always talk about it. It was an easy week because you could talk about the same thing because disability benefits, Social Security benefits, you don't need to worry about. However, there's other programs that are affecting folks. I know, I remember talking on talk radio about IRS and collections versus refunds, and it always seemed like collection efforts didn't stop, but refund efforts did stop.
Yes,
so
exactly.
There's something similar. So talk about. We got how many? I think it was last check 737,000 federal employees or something like that was the exact number. So let's just call it 750 federal employees.
$400 million of daily compensation. That's being held back.
400 million, okay, times 10 days, all right, could make up for 10% of the lost tax revenue from people not paying their taxes. I mean, there's a good news, bad news thing. What's actually happening, Howie? Is this actually affecting us? And it's certainly not affecting the market, except for when it first happened. I mean, I think we've sort of absorbed this, haven't we?
No, the market is totally shaking it off, thinking that things are going to be resolved. There's no fear priced in there. It could also just be that we have so many positive things for the market to worry about that they're not thinking about this, that there is some resolution that's going to happen. It's not ideal. But at some point, the U.S.'s rep is going to crack, and we can never default on a bill. That's the big thing.
Well, yeah, Dun & Bradstreet, Standard & Poor's, the Standard Business Credit Ratings also rate the credit of countries. We were AAA for many, many, many years until about 20 years ago, and I think we went AA plus or something like that.
AA minus.
There you go, AA minus. And what does that mean in terms of? It doesn't mean in terms of our ability to borrow money, because we do borrow money from other countries and we also give money to other countries, but it does affect interest rates that we are paying out for the cost of whatever quantitative easing that we're doing, or more accurately, money borrowing, right, Howie? Isn't that come to the bottom line?
The argument is that making us less credit worthy which is reflected in our credit rating, would raise interest rates on U.S. Treasuries, which is how we borrow money as a country to pay the normal day-to-day bills. So we issue debt through U.S. Treasuries. We put an interest rate on that debt. It's done through an auction. And if nobody's willing to buy U.S. debt at 3%, then we bump it up to 4%, and then to 5%, and then how high can the number go? In all actuality, they're changing some banking rules and regulations, and things like stable coins are coming into more ubiquitous use, and that's driving up demand for treasuries. So if you have demand going up, then you have the interest rates going down. So there's a couple offsetting forces here. So we're not seeing what I think we should be seeing, which is rising interest rates as far as U.S. debt.
I think there's a good news, bad news thing in this whole thing. As I mentioned, one of the bad news things is that you've got Department of Defense furloughing almost 350,000 civilian employees. Look, we always worry about government employees and for the military, but the civilian employees, which are feeding their families, that work for the Department of Defense, that are not frontline military, this is affecting people. You've got 1.3 million active duty military members continuing to work without guaranteed pay. What's going to be the tipping point here? First, because that affects when you start hearing IRS workers aren't getting paid. You're not as sympathetic to the folks of military.
Everyone's got to do their
military
part.
Not getting paid. Sorry. What's actually going to happen, and what's going to be the tipping point, and how long do you think this is going to last?
Yeah, I mean, there's been no break so far. There's nothing politically that would force people to move. You can say that maybe the New York election is the first political movement. So you're seeing that politicians will be able to get a read on how the nation is reacting to parties. So obviously New York is a very liberal. Usually the Democratic candidate wins. And my only point there is, if you see the Republican or the alternative candidates do better than the Democratic candidate, then that might be a signal nationwide that we're not very happy with you, Democratic Party, and then that could cause a break. But I'm just
or vice versa. But I think the thing here is this isn't a political thing, though. This is something that happens every single year because Congress can't get out of their own way. Correct? This is not a right versus left thing, or is this because look at 12 years ago, when there wasn't sort of the knowledge that we're going to see a government shutdown every year. Now that we're seeing it every year, it just seems like every single time we do the budget ceiling and everything else, it kicks the can down the road for a few months to the next year, regardless of who is in power. So at some point, this just in, Congress is not efficient? I mean, is there a better?
Yeah, well, it happens because of we the people. I mean, we send the people to Congress, and we have this list actually of the longest government shutdowns, and they are periods of time when we have a very divided Congress. So, obviously you need a majority.
But regardless of political affiliation, you gotta run the company. The company's the lights have got to stay on.
And sometimes the Congress lives by that philosophy, but sometimes they don't.
Isn't the bigger question, hand it to somebody else? Hand it to look at the Fed is a non-political organization, which I don't like. Right. But it does set interest rates. It achieves maximum employment, and it tries to achieve stable pricing. Look, I'm not asking for more government. I want less. Look at the same Congress that has bankrupted Social Security, the U.S. Postal Service, Veterans Administration, Medicare, Medicaid. You name a single source that Congress oversees that hasn't been fiscally ruined. Okay, time to take some of that stuff off the table, including running the country. So
yeah, but we're the ones who are sitting there continually picking up the hammer and hitting ourselves in the face with it by voting these idiots.
But the point is, it's not about the idiots. I think it's about the fact that Congress gets to decide whether the government stays open or not. Shouldn't there be a disinterested third party? Because look, could you imagine? I'm worried about. Again, the 334,900 civilian employees working in the Department of Defense are not going to be able to pay rent next month, right? I mean,
listen. I agree, and apparently there's some anonymous donor that's paying for some of the military paychecks.
$120 something million.
I know.
Check.
Last name Putin. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
No, I mean, listen. This is Congress's job, Sully. I mean, ancient Rome had a policy to solve problems like this. It's when they gave one person, one consul, they were called, the powers of el dictator. So I mean, that's where the word was first used. I mean, that's not the alternative.
Can we talk about
I think my point would just be that these shutdowns cause permanent loss. It's not like everyone's just going to get back pay.
I was going to say, when we lose money off government shutdowns, do we ever get it back? I mean, is it, well, when he comes back, is it going to come back?
Yeah, a lot of it. So a lot of the workers and definitely the military will get their back pay, and it'll be very inconvenient because it'll be lumpy payments.
But not in terms of lost output. Lost output never comes back.
Right, exactly. So there is damage that we just have to eat, and that's really unfortunate because it's an unforced error, and it's just from people not doing their job.
So if you think in terms of think in terms of 20% lost output by the government being shut down, that is several $1 billion that never comes back in the economy.
No.
Yeah.
So we have met the enemy once again, and it is us. I think it's time to move to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Don't know where.
I heard Aruba's nice.
I'm thinking New York might be better than California, even though because this whole story reminds me of California in so many different ways.
Better weather for you guys.
100%. Howie Font is our big show market analyst. Always with us. Always informative. Always coming back after a break. You betcha. Don't go anywhere. Rolls on. We're in Southern California inside the Lavel 100 studios, which means we get to watch and listen to the Day Trader Trio every single episode. Best in the business. Back here at the bar, it's Costa, it's Mary Bert Godwin, and it is Sully.
Talking about Lavel Malloy, because Lavell came on there with us last week, had such a response.
Oh my God, did he have a great response. Lavel Malloy II, CEO, co-founder, Bragg House, their ticker symbol, TBH, to be honest. And he is back with us here.
To be honest, right. Lavell, great to see you, man.
Great to see you guys again. Thank you for having me back.
I want you to explain, before we talk about bridging culture and capital and the ecosystem that you guys are building. You have this Gen Z gaming, college sports, casual college gamer, which I think would be, I think they're more casual college attendance versus casual college gamer.
In our case.
But talk about what the Bragg House does, because it is the number one home for what I just described there. But talk about how you came up with that idea, and you and your partner, Daniel, and so on and so forth. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to. I think what we did, we kind of realized that there was a need for something that really was on the intersection of college sports, gaming, and social interaction. And a little bit was kind of my background. My background was, I played college sports, and I got hurt. I actually played baseball, and I tore my Achilles.
Oh.
It was very devastating at the time. And one of the first touch points I've ever had to gaming, besides being an avid gamer, is I was like, I'm going to be a D1 athlete. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be so excited. Tore my Achilles and was in a depression. And then I went and I played video games. And I really, really got to see that you can do so much with connecting culture, really, really building out things. You can be teams, you can be leaders. And it was something, and that was my first touch point. And then my career kind of took off, securities lawyer, a serial entrepreneur after that. But what I didn't see as I started going and going with these things, I didn't see this one type of home for Gen Z. And the reason why that was interesting is because if you look at the statistics, they're like 99% of, Gen Z were casual gamers, meaning they weren't trying to, be a professional, but every part of every ecosystem of their life was gaming. Yeah. So I said, hey, it would be an interesting idea. And then, go back for a second. EA Sports, which is one of our partners now, but EA Sports at the time in 2014 had stopped making college football. And that was devastating to me and millions of other people.
Yeah.
But what happened is that was billions of dollars of their revenue. And no one besides them had even tried to create this ecosystem. So what I did in 2018 when I first started the research, and we launched Daniel's my co-founder, my partner, and we just said, hey, we're trying to get something, with the social elements that Gen Z loves, competitive spirit of competition, all revolved around college sports. And we did that, and we created this ecosystem that we believe has kind of really transformed the way people engage, the way media engage. And then we backed that up by a pretty strong data engine model that allowed us to kind of get behavioral predictive data on how Gen Zs would respond. So that was what we called, you said the cultural playbook. That's what we call our playbook. That was Act 1 of the playbook. We thought we successfully did that. We created this superior system, and it's been used as the playbook by many big companies, by Denver Broncos, by McDonald's, by Coca-Cola, by Learfield, to really connect with Gen Z.
Lavell, how did the relationship with Learfield come about?
What they did is they said something very interesting, and I think it's something that many businesses deal with. They said, we, largest media conglomerate, billion-dollar company, we own all the media rights to all the major colleges, but the way of the engagement, and I think we talked about this last time, the way people engage are just different. And the way Gen Z engage are completely different. But you guys seem to be able to, with regard to industry metrics, like how people measure just, simple advertising things, we're always like 10 times ahead, 10x on what the engagement was, 10x of what conversions were. And they said, what is the secret there? And really, I think the secret was that we built this engine really to kind of capture this audience. So we decided the plan, we kind of spoke, and I said, hey, if you give us the autonomy to kind of really build it out the way we want to and create almost a sports medium, so really create this tool that people can play. And I'll give you an example. We had a bunch of students came, they played Fortnite, and it was during baseball season, and we adopted baseball rules. And they're like, why don't you want to do Major League Baseball? Great game, by the way.
Sure.
But I said, the majority of kids that you're trying to attract here are playing Fortnite.
Yep.
But you're trying to connect them to traditional sports. When I was a kid, I sat down, my dad and we watched sports for 4 hours. The engagement is just different now.
Sure.
So it's a lot more digital.
Speaking of brand licensing, talk about some of the big names, because I'm seeing things like, as you said, Learfield, Coca-Cola, McDonald's. How did those relationships happen? You guys are young entrepreneurs. Let's face it. How did you break the door down, man?
I'll be very honest. A lot of hard work we put in, but also a lot of luck that people saw what we were doing. McDonald's was very much similar. There was an agency, how McDonald's is signed, they have like multiple agencies. So the agencies in Texas contacted and they said, hey, there are like 50,000 kids in this university in Texas all playing Bragg House or all on Bragg House. How do we get involved? And that was it. That was really it. Can I
ask you, and I know you're a CEO of a public company, and I know that you can't tell me everything, but listen, when I think it's your payment infrastructure, I mean, you have a payment infrastructure, you've got tokenization. Can't that be overlaid on other industries because of of the IP you're creating? I mean, this is just the tip of the spear, correct? I mean, I have to believe that.
I would say all in industries. I would actually say there isn't an industry that I think would not benefit greatly from what we're building.
Is that the plan? I mean, should we save that for a press release in the future? Because obviously, Bragg House you raised $20 million in financing. You got post-IPO money coming in. I mean, you look at the. I know you're starting to pay attention to the market cap and the value of the stock and so on and so forth. I got to believe 2.0, and I know you're still in dead set in 1.0. 2.0 has got to be taking over the world with some of the stuff that you guys are creating for Bragg House, correct?
I mean, in short, I would say yes. That's the plan, and I think it's also really what made the discussion of the Doge partnership, the House of Doge, the corporate arm of the foundation, so attractive, because what we did was really take this group, we turned, that's why we say capital to, culture to capital, and what we did, we gave them experiences. We gave experiences, as you said, these logos, made them feel like stars and put them all into the system. And now with tokenization, we're buying different sports teams in Europe where, these are all press things that are actually public now. That's the next evolution. And and being able to kind of say what we did here I wouldn't even call it a microcosm, but what we did here at the college, and now to be able to do that globally, that adoption of payment processing, of asset management, of data insights, which is a huge, huge part of our platform, and take that globally, that's something that we're really, really excited about in setting that blueprint. And we believe we initially made the blueprint to set it at the college level.
Lavel Malloy II, CEO, co-founder of Bragg House, ticker symbol TBA. Big things are coming. All right, keep it right here. Much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Do not go anywhere. In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea. A special shout out to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. You can hear us and see us, especially on the American Forces Radio Network. Welcome back to the Big Biz Show. Day Trader Trio, Costumer, Godwin, and Sully. Great to have you along today.
Of course, interesting talk with Howie, but he's going to about the government shutdown. But I want to talk to him tomorrow about the consolidation of cable companies, because I think it's coming. I think remember we talked about at some point that cable companies were no longer going to be offering packages for cable, but there'd be internet companies. Because the only time I watch regular television, honestly, is for sporting events.
Yep.
Yes.
And not even all the way, because I got NFL, I can do a split screen.
Yep.
And they do a pretty good job in the NFL network of doing it. You don't have to post it. They got a show, and all of a sudden, hey, this is happening over here, and they'll split it for you. And then the other thing is MLB Network, if it's not blacked out, has got better coverage.
Yeah.
Apple has, I think, the best baseball coverage if it weren't for the announcers, but all the other gadgetry that goes on that tells you, what the guy had for lunch and who he dated in high school.
I'll be watching the game.
The most obscure stuff comes up on Apple. It'll tell you not only where he went to school, but what his mom did for a living.
I'll be watching the game with Nance and Romo on CBS Network, and hey, coming up tonight, an episode of, and I'll look around and going, what the hell is this show? I've never heard of it. I've never.
Mary's got a new show. What's your latest?
Task. Mark Ruffalo and Tom Pelfrey.
How do you come across? Will there ever be a show as good as Succession?
No.
Breaking Bad and Succession are the two best shows of all time. But it's one of those. It's like an Ozark kind of. It's good.
Ozarkian.
One of our favorite guests is finally back from her travels of beating the drum for exposure and for capital and for attention to her company, and I can't believe she's back with us today.
Jennifer Ernst, co-founder and CEO, Tivic Health. Ticker symbol is TIVC, and we welcome her back after her world travel.
You have been busy, young lady. My goodness.
It has been. It's been a busy couple weeks. Yeah, absolutely.
Catch us up. Obviously, Tivic, a late-stage immunotherapy company. But only recently late stage. We'll talk about that in a minute. But talk a little bit about what you've been doing is because your therapies, which we'll get into in terms of radiation, in terms of a number of other things, you're front and center now in front of some of the biggest minds in the country in terms of finance and in terms of moving the needle here. And you guys are so close to commercialization. Talk about what you've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I was down at our manufacturing site, and I'd actually hoped we might be able to have gotten you in there, because when you get in and you're seeing, the bioreactors, the testing benches, all of the facility support that goes behind making a biologic product, that was pretty cool. I thought, that would be an interesting inside picture sometime for us to do. So spent a couple days at our manufacturing site, meeting with the project team there that's working on ramping up the manufacturing. That's all part of our regulatory processes. So for the radiation treatment drug, we've talked before about Entolimod, and there's actually a follow-on drug called Entolasta, a derivative of it. So we've been working with the company down in San Antonio on bringing up the manufacturing as part of the regulatory process that we go through to demonstrate stability, reliability of production. A lot of clinical data behind this. There's about 40 animal studies, several human studies already that have been done. So looking forward as we're moving this forward now into, as you can see on the screen, the radiation syndrome, looking at several oncology-related treatments as well. The other thing I've been up to actually pertains more to the second half of that slide. Last week I was in New York for something called the Constellation Forum, which is Northwell Health's big thought leadership event. And this year it was focused exclusively on bioelectronic medicine. This is a newer area of immunotherapeutic, immune modulating activity, and one of the big kahuna in that field is a company called SetPoint Medical. They just got their FDA approval for an implanted device, and the work that we're doing with Feinstein Institute at Northwell Health is looking at some non-invasive options to replicate the kind of clinical effects you can get with implanted devices. So kind of a span of activity this week, but very cool to be in New York at the Guggenheim at Carnegie Hall, and sitting next to Scott Gottlieb, the former FDA director, talking about the regulatory issues associated with devices and therapeutics.
Hey, Jennifer, talk about, for folks that haven't seen you before, about entolimod as a radiation countermeasure for military, for military personnel. And okay, so, I know you talked about it in August, I think, at the Military Research Health System conference or something like that. But bring us up to date on exactly what it does, because I think people need to understand what you guys are actually bringing to market.
Yeah, so entolimod is our earliest stage, I guess our latest stage candidate. That's the closest one to market. Entolimod was developed originally as an acute radiation, a treatment for acute radiation syndrome. So basically treating the bone marrow and the GI tract. So when someone is exposed to large amounts of radiation, whether that be from God forbid, a nuclear disaster or an attack, whether it's a soldier in the field dealing with dirty bombs and ordnance, it destroys the bone marrow and it destroys the GI tract, the fast replicating cells in the body. So what entolimod does is juice up the immune system. It actually juices up a part of our system to replenish the cells that get destroyed during radiation. So it helps improve the blood flow, improve the white blood cells, prevent infection, and also helps, has shown an efficacy at improving the GI tract function following radiation exposure.
Jennifer Ernst is the co-founder, CEO, Tivic Health, ticker symbol TIVC. Jennifer, we've talked in the past about, you want to eventually get it to the point where it's something that a service person can take before they're exposed to massive doses of radiation. But once they're exposed, is there a time frame in which entolimod needs to be in their system to be effective?
Yeah, so most of the testing has been done at 48 hours, and that's because the first 48 hours are particularly critical for the blood-related disorders. We'll of course be looking at how long after, but most of the dosing is 48 hours to 72 hours, and then you actually trip into a different category, category of medical care, where you may be getting infusions, be in the hospital if you haven't gotten a good recovery in those first 3 days.
When we talk about service personnel in the Department of Defense, adoptability has got to be number one, but number two, the velocity in which they will adopt something, because it is the U.S. government after all. Was there ever a concern, because you guys are almost in commercialization, are they hand in hand with you on this and sort of waiting with bated breath and hook for this, or is it still a matter of going through the channels? Because you hear about the channels, especially in light of a government shutdown like this, and how does that affect moving the market? Can you give us some light on that?
Well, the good news is that the Defense Department, the BARDA, the Biologics Department, defense agencies are not shut down. They're operating basically on their own budgets and on separate timelines. So for our purposes, the conversations are continuing. We're continuing to work. They originally funded the development of this drug. We licensed it in from another company. So the development work had been done under government funding, under BARDA funding, DoD funding, NASA, a number of different agencies that were involved in it. So when we took the license on and committed to moving it forward into production, it was very easy for us to start immediately getting meetings. We were able to take a White House briefing, inform the White House about what had been done previously and what we were looking to do. Defense related, and as you said, one of the major conferences, we were able to get meetings scheduled there with the key stakeholders and look to be moving that forward. So it's, you always worry, of course, about government, but the parts of the government that are defending us and work about protecting the citizens are still open and functioning.
Talk about the rest of us. Talk about, you listen, we're ever speaking about alternative energy sources, and obviously, radiation comes to mind when you think about nuclear energy. You start to, and I know everybody still cringes here when you hear about that.
San Onofre is right there.
I drive by it all the time, and I think about you, actually.
And the point is, it's more dangerous having them decommission San Onofre than it was to actually use San Onofre.
Leakage.
Talk about that a little bit, Jennifer.
So that is one of the use cases, obviously, as we are starting to see nuclear adopted more broadly, not only in the U.S. but overseas. There's definitely been an interest in, for example, stockpiling near the sites, so that a first responder in particular could be protected, but also the surrounding citizen. One of the data points is, for example, at Fukushima, approximately 10,000 first responders died of acute radiation syndrome. And the estimates are that had Entolimod been available at that site, it would have saved about 7,000 people.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When do we get you back in San Diego? I know you just landed, but still, we can't ever get enough of you over here, so as soon as you can.
Let me know. We'll keep in touch. If I happen to swing through that part of the woods, I'll make sure.
And we got to send a camera crew with you over to the manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
Next time you go over there, I want
I'd like
to
to see that.
Jennifer Ernst, co-founder, CEO, Tivic Health, ticker symbol TIVC. All right, keep it right here. There's much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Do not go anywhere. It is the Big Biz Show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we always thank you for being along for the ride. Those gentlemen right there are always on for the ride. That is the Day Trader Trio. Of course, back here at the bar, it is Costa, Mary Godwin, and Sully.
Good stuff.
I'm excited for this guest.
You always have such great questions.
He is one of our favorite guests. And what's interesting is I have really learned through him and Dan Negroni how to use Perplexity and ChatGPT together. I have to tell you, the only thing I can't get my head around is how college professors and high school teachers can tell the difference, because I can tell you right now, I can have a PowerPoint put together in the next 45 seconds on ChatGPT that you would not know the difference. The untrained eye would not know the difference between me spending hours like I did in the past,
Right.
or I just hit a button. I said, here's the talking points. I need 10 pages. Here's the talking points. How would you do it? You know what I'm saying? But the point is, AI is here. AI is with social media, and Corey Pearlman's here to talk about that. What's up, Corey? What's happening, dude?
Hey guys, happy early Halloween. Good to see you all.
So OpenAI has a new app called SOra, S-O-R-A,
Yes.
and it's changing the face of what content creation is. Is it doing the work like it was just concerned about doing the work of academics? Is it doing the work for it's going to create more traffic because there's going to be more influencers that are doing absolutely nothing other than learning how to use this?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going back to what you said earlier, it's just kind of funny. What I'm seeing is professors are going back old school, and they're making their students do everything in the room with pencil and paper.
Yep.
So
That's the answer. Get your blue book. No, that's the answer, right? Your blue book, exactly. What is what is SOra? So SORA's racked up a ton of downloads, faster than ChatGPT. What does it actually do?
So it's a text to video AI tool. So you could literally write in there, hey, I need a promo for our Big Biz show, and I'd like Elvis Presley to be the spokesperson, and it will create that in a moment of seconds. It's had 1 million downloads over the last 2 weeks, and it is #1 in the App Store, so it's worth talking about for us, for sure.
It's not invite only anymore, though, right? It was at the beginning?
As far as I know, it's still invite only, unless like today that's changed, but that's what makes it even crazier, Mary, that it's still #1 in the App Store and it's been invite only.
Hey, Corey, does and Mary, you know this too, does SOra have a watermark on?
It does.
Okay. Remember a long time ago, before the networks, people were still in network content, and then you started to see like
It's called a bug.
The bug, okay. I call it a watermark, the bug. But okay, are we getting to the point where each platform, doesn't matter who it is going to have the bug on it at all times?
I would think so. I mean, these things are so real. Obviously, when you have Elvis Presley or, Martin Luther King or things of that nature, you should be smart enough to know that it's fake. But, it's going to continue on. And the reason I brought it to all of your attention is that I think for businesses, it's an opportunity. I sent you guys the example of a friend of mine who's marketing his book, and he's had every, major past celebrity holding up his book and promoting it. And so he's jumping on the bandwagon. He's having fun with it, and it's working for him.
But I think as consumers, the safe thing, and look, my kids aren't kids anymore. My kids are, staring on the barrel of 30 years old at this point. But it's still interesting to know, you think you know everything at 30, what's like I did, and I really knew everything at 40, and I realized I didn't know crap at 50. And now at my age, I'm like, I don't know anything still. I think, don't you have to go into every single piece of social media content that's fed to me as this is entertainment first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second, do a modicum of research. Like even if I see something come across that will make me 10 years younger, they certainly do a great job on social media thinking, I'm buying this now. I've gotten to the point where I will go into Perplexity or Google, then I'll go into Amazon and look at ratings and stuff like that. I think if people start recognizing this is entertainment first, I understand I'm not trying to minimize social media's effect, but when you start seeing just this crazy, unbelievable video coming at you, and you have to say, so I can't believe that. Well, maybe don't believe it.
Right.
I mean, I like that businesses use it. I like your idea that people are using Elvis Presley. It's clearly a joke. It's clearly not real. But I guess the danger is when people are trying to pass it off as real, and then people are sharing it, and oh my gosh, did you see what happened? And it just didn't happen.
Correct.
So I like that there's a bug there. And is there something in Meta and maybe other platforms where the platform itself is telling you, the viewer or the consumer of the content, that it was AI generated? They can know that, right?
Is that coming also? I mean, is that going to be a regulatory thing?
That's the big question that I don't think there's an answer to yet. I can tell you that across the board, broad stroke, Mary, no. The answer is yes, they can most likely tell, but are they disclosing that to us, the audience, full bore? No, not as of yet, which is the scary part of it for sure.
Well, and you talk about I think the government is going to have to step in at some point, because the genie is out of the bottle on this. And you're not getting the toothpaste back in the tube, no way whatsoever. And this thing is just going to grow exponentially.
Did you just mix metaphors? Couldn't you just said you can't stuff the genie back in the bottle? Now we're into toothpaste.
You can't kill these two birds with one tube of toothpaste, Corey.
I'll just say this to you guys real quick. There's two modes of thought here. You can worry about it and worry about the concerns of trademark and licensing and all that. And there's absolutely right. But I think this is a great opportunity for marketers and business people to have some fun and to jump on the bandwagon early. And what I can promise you is engagement, especially on some of the tools like Instagram, will spike because these things are going viral. Mm-hmm. So if you want the opportunity to go viral, check out SOra, see what you can do with it.
The one thing that I wanted to say before we let you out of here today is that it really does open up this new frontier for marketing. And I don't know who said that on your notes here, but boy, I'll tell you, can you imagine, remember when we saw Facebook posts? Then we saw Facebook with pictures. Then we saw Facebook with pictures with music. Then we saw Facebook pictures with video. I mean, honestly, and now we don't see posts anymore without a visual, rarely. You don't see the box that says, does this dress make me look fat? No, your face makes you look fat, or whatever message somebody want to put out. I used to love putting messages together.
Tommy wrote good night last night.
Yeah, right. You just don't see that often. Is this a new frontier? I mean, we don't know. We're 5 feet out of the parking lot on a 20-mile hike here. This could mean a completely different face for
100%. And we've mentioned celebrities up to this point, but Sully, what you can do is you can show SOra a couple of visuals of your face, and then it can recreate you, and you can have it put you in any situation.
Hey, did you know I was in Top Gun? That's me in the back there doing this on the laptop.
Yes. So I look forward to seeing many memes of you and trying to figure out if it's real or ChatGPT.
Corey Pearlman, social media keynote speaker. He's owner of Impact Social Media. Go to CoreyPearlman.com and ImpactSocialMedia.com. as well. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of The Big Biz. As always, thanks to you out there for being here with us. We'll see you next time.
Now I'm tired of this.